Hey guys, welcome back to the Overjump podcast for another episode. This time another No-tocross episode, and I'll be talking to Blake Jackson in this one. Blake and I have known each other for a bit over 10 years. We met each other through friends from the local heavy music scene, and over that time I've paid attention to the things he's done, following him on social media. Whether it was being in bands, rapping under the name Boss Baker, travelling to rap battles across Australia, and starting a clothing brand called Sloth Life, which is where we started recording this podcast actually. So listening for that. But over the last couple of years, I guess I've been questioning myself introspectively and asking myself why we do the things we do and what drives us and the decisions we make. So being able to sit down and chat to guys like Blake, who has a strong passion for his creative expressions and is able to really well articulate the mental and physical processes involved, makes this conversation super interesting. I hope you guys enjoy it. I really appreciate him coming on though, and talking to me. I pretty much immerse myself in the motocross world these days, so I was a bit nervous taking the plunge out of my comfort zone for this episode. That being said, in this episode we chat a lot about doing just that, like chasing dreams and following whatever it is we love. Even if it includes its own set of struggles and hurdles. That's life. Take it slow and at your own pace. It's what the Sloth Life brand is about actually. So anyway, so here we go. Blake Jackson, aka Dr. Spaceman, aka Boss Baker. Enjoy, guys.
Hey, I got it. Got what? I got record. Oh, wow. Put it on. Friday already?
Him to draw like frame by frame, sort of like each individual, like say making Sloth Boy's mouth go like for each different vowel sounding or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
And then just taking that to an animator and then getting him to do it all, like to make it more fluid. So
yeah, wow, that's fucking nuts. Yeah, but if you could pull that off, that would be like the visual side of that is like extra engaging for people.
Yeah,
especially if you're using YouTube as a platform.
Well, that's the thing too. Like when I started Sloth Life, I wanted to, because a lot of people want to start a brand for sort of self gratification, and they want to get all this clout and stuff like that for themselves. Yeah. Whereas I'm like the antithesis of that. Like I don't want any clout for myself. If anything, I want people to think that it's actually run by a cartoon style, you know,
like an alter ego.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's so it just sucks because the last couple of years I've really had my eye off the ball with it. But you know, you just got to stop feeling sorry for yourself after a while and just pick it back up and dust yourself off.
But that's a hard mindset sometimes. Like it's easy from the outside to say, oh yeah, just get back on the horse, dude, but
But I think the easiest part about getting back on track is realizing that not everyone is like constantly watching you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Like not
is that how you feel sometimes?
Well, sort of like but it goes back to that anti self gratification mindset as well. Like I started all this so that I could help inspire people from wayward backgrounds to do something of their own, whether it be music or creativity, like designing or whatever the fuck you want to do. Podcasting, for example, you can do it, and you can do it in ways that are comfortable for you, and you can do it at your own speed.
Yeah.
And because it's called Sloth Life, you know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You can do it as slowly as you want to. Yeah, take your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The podcast the podcasting side of it, it's like one of those things that's it's like a learning curve for yourself too, because you're never going to be good at it to start with, and then you're constantly learning, and then that's a rewarding feeling at the end, isn't it?
Well, I was really stoked to know that, like, when I first started, because I've always wanted to work in the fashion industry in whatever capacity. I've always I might look at most of the time, but I'm actually pretty obsessed with how people kind of dress themselves and how people like sort of present their inside to the rest of the world. And I couldn't get a job anywhere in the industry to save my life. But then I just decided, fuck it, I'm just going to make my own brand. And I thought like I would have to be selling shit to like my mates or something like that for like at least a year before I'd get retail looks. But then thanks to Frank on at Union Heights on Chapel Street, I had my own. I had a retail store stocked up a week before my own website was finished being built.
Yeah, right.
On Chapel Street in Melbourne. So I was just sort of like, fuck, man. Like, that's just a testament to like if you've got a vision and you're able to really compel other people into that vision, then it's. I wouldn't even consider it a sale in that aspect. You know what I mean? It's just you're getting other people involved, and like profit margins weren't a massive thing to me in the beginning. I just wanted people involved.
How did you get the funds to like kickstart that? Because that's a big thing too. Like,
well, I mean, like I was always selling like the hoodie that I've got on now. This was just like for my own rap project and shit, and like I kind of realized after a while, people don't actually have to know exactly what it is. They just have to kind of like, how do I describe it? Like not many people knew what Boss Baker is or what I do, but they just saw the design and they thought, oh, that's sick, I want to buy it.
Yeah, sure.
And I just had, like I do today, I've got like a boot full of merch and shit, and I was just like, what size do you want? I'll just go grab one for you.
Nice. Yeah.
And so just hustling merch and shit like that. And then I think after a while I was able to kind of sell enough of it to convince a few family and friends to just sort of kick in. But I wasn't really begging for it either. I just kind of thought, well, this is what I'm doing. I really believe in it, and this is why. And just kind of rolled on from there.
Yeah, so obviously you had the eye for what people would like, and then obviously you know what you like.
Yeah.
And obviously other people like the same thing, so you had that eye for your designs too. Like,
I didn't really care too much for what other people liked, in the aspect that I looked for something that already worked anyway. Like going back to what I was saying before, hiring Michael Shantz and a couple other designers who've worked for Drop Dead, which is Ollie Sykes' clothing brand.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to call back to that era. Like in my mind, it's almost like this golden era, right? When band merch was like all crazy, colourful neon and shit like that. And I just kind of thought like, the current era of like single colour design and real simple prints, it's nice, I guess. If you really do like that style, but I really missed the fact that nobody was still doing that crazy colourful neon shit. And I wanted to do it as authentically as possible to try and get the actual artists who were really cornerstones of that style. So I just emailed them all and was just sort of like, hey, this is my idea for a brand. Do you want to get involved? And I was just lucky enough for a lot of them to say yes.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up in that whole scene kid era, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where, like, man, when you say like neon coloured shirts and stuff like that, it's like that is, fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so
I remember going to. Do you remember the Boogie Shack?
Yeah, fuck yeah, bro.
Yeah, going to the Boogie Shack and then like all the bands that have like that little table at the back selling like their shirts and stuff, and they were like the designs, man. That's fucking so sick.
Yeah, man, and like I had no problem handing over, like $20, $30 or something for a shirt back then. But these days, people are charging like, probably not more. Like they're probably still charging the same price, but I feel like I get less for my dollar.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm a real, I just like flamboyant shit. Like I like colourful stuff, and don't get me wrong. Like I'm wearing a single colour print right now, which is mine, but it's I don't know. This was more of a callback to like the black metal-y sort of look as well.
Yeah,
but it's for a rap project, and so I think people like that duality as well.
Yeah, well, I was hoping to get back to that too because your roots are from a hardcore metal beginning too, I suppose. Like,
Yeah, I was
how'd you get into like that scene to start with, and like, well, how'd you get into music?
I was really weird with it, to be honest. Like I remember getting like my first proper like CD from my sister. It was just the Living End self-titled album.
Yeah,
And I would have been like 8 or 9 or maybe 7. I don't know. I was really young when I got it. But also, like, I think you were born in 1990, right?
Yeah.
I was 91. And so when we were like 9 and 10 respectively, I think that was around like the golden era of everything's golden era to me.
yeah.
But like, so around the turn of the new millennium, that's when like lots of heavy metal and rap was starting to like really take over the mainstream. You had your Corns, Limp Bizkits, Eminem,
New metal.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And so because all of these artists really introduced me to their selective, hip hop, metal, whatever, their branches of music. I loved them all so much, but I became to love them so much that I didn't want to infect them with each other as well. Like I didn't want to blend in my metal with my rap per se. So I picked up a guitar and learned that, and I started to write little rhymes and shit like that, and whatever. And then I ended up joining my first band like 7 or 8 years later as a vocalist.
Yeah. Okay. What was that band? Was that
Fall Through was my first.
Fall Through?
It was my first proper band that did like gigs and shit.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it was so weird because I joined that band. I'd only just got a job at the time. Like I'd finished school, just got a job at Optus, and Sklavos hit me up and was like, "Oh, do you want to come on tour with us? Our vocalist can't do it." And I was like, "Oh shit, I only just got this job. I can't really do it." So
this is Eddie, right?
So yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we came. They were doing a bunch of local shows off the end of that tour, and they were like, "Oh well, we don't really want the guy who's doing vocals on the tour to be in the band." And I think the other vocalist is pretty much out. And I was like, "All right, well I'll do all your local shows until like you find somebody."
Yep.
And then we just did like a run of shows, and they were just kind of like, "Well, you know the set, and you can do vocals, so do you just want to join the band?" I was like, "Yeah, all right."
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
It's the laziest like recruitment ever.
How did you go like learning like vocals, like heavy vocals?
Oh, dude, I just
Did you think you just had it?
See, I always wanted to do it. Like it mystified me for years, like the actual technique behind it. And then one day I was just kind of fucking around in my room and just I used to call it like the footy grunt. Like, yeah, footy, or something like that. Or like the Scooby-Doo, fucking, like, Scooby-Doo, or whatever. And then I realised, like, that those muscles in your larynx, as soon as you isolate them, you learn how to kind of close that muscle but push air through it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sick, alright, that's kind of like the basis for that style of vocal. So I remember, like, practicing to, like, A Day to Remember and Eternal Lord and, like, all of these fucking bands that I'd love. Acacia Strain and shit like that, and then I just had it after a while. So
right.
Yeah, I did a couple of songs with Joe, if you remember.
Joe Ritson.
Yeah, that's him. And then that was it. And I think that's how I showed Sklavos. I was like, yeah, I can do vocals.
Yeah, because you did your own solo stuff too, eh? Was it Space
Dr. Spaceman.
Dr. Spaceman.
Yeah, man. I've got this weird thing, like if I've got like a like say heavy metal or something like that, the songs, like the style of music and the lyrical subject matter might be serious, but then I'll try to counteract that by giving it like a piss take name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's a throwback too to the scene kids, you know, like they just have ridiculous names for the songs, yeah.
Oh, dude, I remember like one of my favourite, it was like a side project for the dude, but Austrian Death Machine.
Yep.
That was like one of my favourite fucking band names ever. Yeah, song names like Get to the Chopper and shit like that, and it's just like, I don't know, man, like, I think music really, especially very serious types of music, like metal and whatever, I've learned over the years that music can be taken so subjectively. Like, people can take shit way too seriously and people can take stuff not seriously enough. So I think it's good to have, like, a nice mix between the two.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. It's a good way to look at it.
Oh, I had to learn that shit the hard way, though, man. I did a song with this dude from Victoria who's, like, a really notorious hip hop artists and shit like that. And I remember being woken up in the middle of one of my sleeps by like another dude who I really respect in the scene, basically being like, "If you ever do another song with him again, we're done," sort of thing.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know.
Was it the subject that you?
Well, see, I don't really want to do too much. I don't want to say too much as far as like
What you said?
naming names or anything
Yeah, sure.
like that. But like I did a song with this dude, and like he really loves to rap about like pipes and shit like that, like smoking meth and shit. And that's not really like anytime I've ever mentioned it in my songs, I try to associate it with the regret factor, like
okay.
But then he goes and drops the song with the album artwork with just like a big loaded pip and shit like that. And I'm like, dude, I don't even mention it in my verse, you know what I mean? And the guy who messaged me saying like, if you do another song like that, I'm done with you. He works in like youth work and shit like that, and he's like looking.
He's trying to get people off it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing was, and this mate of mine had just come off the end of like a really intense week at work with this specific. I don't want to say patient, you know what I mean, but like a kid that had come in.
Yeah.
She's like 15. She's gone through a hectic run in life, you know what I mean, and she also happens to be a massive fan of this dude that I'd done a song with. And she's obviously a bit sort of stuck in that cycle herself. And so I can see from his perspective as well where he sees what I was doing as irresponsible.
Yeah.
And I just kind of thought at the time, like, yeah, look, we spoke about it on the phone and shit like that, and we came to an understanding, and I told old mate to take the song down. I only told him to take it down so he could change the artwork. But then he ended up like taking my verse off and then replacing it and shit. So I got over it from that.
Oh, that's yes.
But
clean slate.
Yeah. But the main I guess point of all that is that I could make a song about whatever I want, and it seems to be that like a lot of my songs have to do with drug use and shit like that, and it's not really like on purpose either. It's just like the only real subject matter that I can rap with from a deep understanding that I've had. But then I could make a song about it. Some 15-year-old kid could listen to it and then really not have the life experience to back up and match what I'm saying on a track.
Yeah.
And my mate Manners actually said it best, right? Like for every one kid that'll message you being like, "Oh man, your song's real deep and it helped me out," and blah blah blah. For every one kid that does that, there's like 9 others using that song for a soundtrack to their self-destruction. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, funny. Last night I got into a bit of a scroll hole on YouTube, and because I actually checked out a couple of your rap battles.
Oh yeah.
And then I went from there, and I ended up watching reaction videos to what's the name? They're called 1-4.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and they're pretty, they're talking about some pretty hard shit, gang violence stuff. Man.
For sure.
And I was kind of thinking to myself, the same thing, kids don't understand sometimes, and it's almost fueling this cycle of fucking.
Well, I think that's why I go back to not wanting clout for myself when it comes into this shit, which is why I wish I could invent like an alter ego. And that's kind of like what Boss Baker is.
Yeah.
Like back in the days, I used to have like a troll account. Back when having a troll account was cool instead of like almost mandatory. And his name was Buzz Baker. And then I used to be known as Boss. I used to write it on my knuckles every day as a joke. And then I did like my first battle as Boss MC. And then I did a couple more, and I was like, I should probably change my name, because good luck typing that into a search engine and just finding me straight up. So I kept the Boss bit, but I wrote out a whole list of surnames, and then Baker was one of them. So I was just like, that one rolls off the tongue. Sweet, Boss Baker, there you go. And he was kind of supposed to be like an alter ego of who I actually am. Just this trollish sort of arsehole. But then I kind of am a trollish arsehole in real life, so it's not much of an alter ego. So I've got to try and think of a flip side for him.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, okay, so you went through the metal scene here, in Toowoomba, whatever. How the hell did you get in the battle rapping?
I just kind of got dared to. I just got dared to do it one day, because I I write little raps and I'd spit them at parties and shit like that. And going back to like me being a disciple of both metal and hip hop, but just separately. And there was just no hip hop scene here.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of got into metal as like a live musician. And then did you know Granger? Ben Granger?
I think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so he like dared me to like, it'd be so funny if you battle this guy because you don't even like rap sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you can rap, but you're better than him at rapping. And so
Ben Granger's not. Oh no, that's Home Dog.
Yeah, but that was the guy who we were talking about.
Yeah.
So, because we're all kind of like mates, I guess. And then I think I might have even done a track or two with Olmi. Just, I don't know, just on some mate shit, I guess. And then I did, I called him out like 3 different times to battle. And then he just kind of pulled out each time. So each time I'd write more material.
And just put that in the bank like, cha-ching.
Yeah, well, I just kind of thought like, oh well, like I'm not just gonna not spit this stuff that I've got just because you pulled out each time. And so like it kind of created a bit of confusion as far as rounds and stuff because he like kind of cut me off halfway through one of my rounds and I just kind of kept going at the end of it. But yeah, I was actually because I've been a massive fan of battle rap since I was like 15, and then. Because I was so embarrassed at how shitty that fucking battle was. Like everyone.
Is this the one like? And there's it's in like a garage.
Yeah, dude.
Because Matty Yo.
That was at his garage, bro. Yeah. That was at Olmi's. Yeah. Like Olmi's house.
I remember Matt Yo. Like I think it was Matt Yo.
Yeah.
Showing me that video. I think he's in the background somewhere.
Yeah, dude. It's so fucking hilarious.
Shout out to Matt Yo.
Yeah, shout out. It's so funny though, man. Like, because I remember that night I'd shown up with the guy who was filming it. And I think we just made a Facebook status like, oh yeah, we're at Olmi's house, we're going to battle in like 20 minutes. Then like 200 cunts like just showed up and they're all spilling out onto the street. It's just a testament to how there's fuck all to do in Toowoomba on a Friday night.
Kids just want something to do, yeah.
Yeah, dude. And then like literally they came up and watched the battle and then we just, after it was done, like, alright, that's it, see you later. And then everyone left.
Thanks for coming.
But then that battle got the attention of a few people on Real Talk Battle League down in Brisbane. And they messaged me, they're like, oh, that was sick, do you want to come down and battle on our platform?
Shit.
And because I was so embarrassed at how, like, in my mind, I was like, oh, there's such a disgrace to battle rap. So I was like, yeah, alright, I'll come down and battle on your platform. I'll lose to someone who knows what they're doing. And then I'll exit stage left, you know what I mean? That'll be me and battle rap done. And then, neck minute undefeated for 1.5 years and shit like that.
You went in with such low expectations.
Well, that's the thing though, man. Like, I think when you scrutinize yourself to that point of like, because I don't know, like I don't rate myself higher or lower than anybody. So you could put me up against somebody like Disaster, for example, who's like one of the best in the world. And because you have to back yourself to that point of, like, that's the point of battling, right? I feel like I could do an alright job. And, I don't, like, he'd still smash me, you know what I mean? But you have to almost not believe that.
Yeah.
And then,
it's very, it's almost aggressive on stage.
Yeah, sort of, yeah, but that's a weird thing too, especially with a scene that's so small in Australia. Anybody that's worth battling, you've probably already battled already, or you might be mates with before you battle, and then you've got to spend like a month or two thinking of the most horrible shit you can say to each other, and then you'll get up and battle, and then you'll be straight off to the bar right afterwards, having a beer together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's cool because you'll hug it out at the end.
Yeah.
When it comes to because like it's easy to think, oh, these guys are just freestyling this stuff off the top of their head, but like, you're saying like, it's written. You're writing stuff beforehand, like.
Yeah, I think, like, with battling and the preparation aspect of it, there are still freestyle battles and stuff, but because the number of freestyle battlers that can actually do it is so few.
Yeah.
That plus the fact that people are paying money to come see a show, and there's only so many freestyle flips you can tolerate by, like, watching some dude rap about the other guy's shirt, you know what I mean? Like, you want to hear something that makes you go, oh shit, they're going to punch on or something. Yeah. I actually got into it the other night with some dude at a beer garden, It's the only place these arguments happen where I'll tell somebody about it. They're like, oh, I love battle rap, bro. And then, they'll be like, oh, yeah, what do you love about it? Oh, I just love how it's all like off the top of their head. And that's like a straightaway dead giveaway that they don't watch battle rap.
Yeah, they don't understand, yeah.
Like, these are the type of cunts that still think that 360 and Cursor was all off the top of their heads. It's like, no, it wasn't, bro. Like, it was all pre-written.
Yeah.
And they're like, even then, if you watch, like, say, Eminem's freestyle battles at the Rap Olympics or whatever, and then you watch the outtakes of the 8 Mile shit, he reuses the same fucking lines.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. Like, you're going through life, and you as a rapper, I bet you're thinking of like little rhymes and stuff on shit all day.
Yeah,
and then
it's like one of the most amusing curses I've ever got. Like, I want to shoot myself in the head, but then then I'll be probably still thinking of rhymes off shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to explain it. I was always like that though as a kid, and I was always able to appreciate like good multi-syllabic rhymes.
Yeah.
So then as soon as I saw dudes like Thesaurus and Immaculate and shit like that, just really executing these perfect multis in what was supposed to be like a fully off the top of the head freestyle platform, and then watching that crossover into the advent of the current platform where it's 3 pre-written rounds. It's just, you have no excuse not to show up and have a good performance, you know what I mean? So anybody that chokes or can't memorize their shit these days, and then flips back into freestyling, like, you better be fucking good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, when someone does I don't know what they call it, does a good round towards you,
Yeah.
and then you get put off guard, and then does that make you fuck up from that?
No, actually,
Or
weirdly,
you forget your lines? Or...
No, weirdly enough, man, I don't know if it's like sadomasochism or anything like that, but I fucking really love when somebody's got an awesome punchline against me.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody says some shit and I'm just like, oh, fuck, that was good.
Yeah,
Even if it's just little simple ones. Like, I remember battling some guy named Ames in Tassie, and I don't even remember the rest of his 3 rounds, but he had one good line where he said something like, Boss Baker gives better wrist jobs than a watchmaker or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Or Creepy J had some, like, admittedly it was probably pretty dragged out, but like...
He's the Asian guy?
Yeah,
I think I might watch that one.
Yeah, dude. He had some crazy scheme where it was like, I don't know, like, get a bike and set it up. Go for a ride instead of lunch. Eat a fucking vegetable, you diabetic cunt, or something like that. And I was just like, yeah, like, I don't know, man. I get really amused when people have something.
It's creativity.
Yeah, bro. And it's just reinforcement of the fact that they had to sit down and think about this for ages.
Yeah.
Like, somebody, like, you know.
But I wonder, he's walking down the street and he sees someone on a bike or something, and he's like, oh, I can use that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I hope that was the case as well. Like, if it, because, like, again, not to like big myself up or anything like that. If anything, it's more of a knock to myself. But I just couldn't think of anything. Like, I had like 3 months to prepare for that battle, and I just could not think of anything, man. Like, while I was up in Queensland, so I flew down to Melbourne like a week and a half before the battle, and just threw myself in the deep end, just walking around the streets of Melbourne, just thinking of punchlines. And I like just pulled it off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the only one like moderate choke I had was like right after a bar, making fun of myself for choking.
Yeah, right.
And then somebody came up, the 2 people came up to me after the battle. They're like, "Dude, was that planned? Like, were you supposed to do that?" And I was just like, "No, why?" They're like, "Dude, we thought that was all a part of the act."
Uncreated creative genius.
Yeah, dude. I think it was just a like a serendipitous moment where. And just, I don't know, because I hadn't battled for like 2 years before that. I took like 2 years off, and then the one battle I did, then I had like another year's break before that, and then I just kind of thought, oh shit, I better do as best as I can, but then I can't ignore the fact that I have choked in other battles as well. So I kind of I broke off into this other dude's voice who had made fun of me for choking in the past. And then I thought, oh, not many people are going to get this, because it's really like, this is probably 3 years old, this reference I'm making. And then I ended up fucking having a quick stumble afterwards, and then I had to pull my phone out and quickly check, and then I finished the round, and yeah, everything was sweet after that. The dude who filmed it actually offered to edit it out.
Yeah.
But I was like, nah, man, like, 450 people saw it live in the room. So
someone will call you out on it.
Yeah, so I thought, fuck it, man. People saw it. Just leave it in there. I've got nothing to hide. And if anything, I like to throw out sort of bait for people for battling, so that I know that they'll write about
what
I've thrown out.
A bit of burly, man.
Yeah, so next
battle burly.
So if I do another battle again, they'll probably mention that, and I'll have a bunch of like rebuttals like ready to go.
Yeah,
if they take that bait. So
it's intense, man. I don't know if I could do something like that. I feel like I would definitely crumble. Yeah.
It's I
Do you have to try and put yourself in headspace for that? Like, have you got like a routine or?
It depends on like who your opponent is and what their style of battling is. Like, if you battle somebody that's mainly jokes instead of like hard hitting punchlines, then it's probably a lot easier to go into it. Whereas if you go to somebody who is reputed for like trying to destroy their opponent's lives, you might get a bit paranoid or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think it's that mindset, like that. If you kind of scrutinize yourself as much as you scrutinize your opponent, it's almost hard to lose. Like, I'd rather go in and have a debatable battle with somebody rather than just body bag them 3 rounds straight, because then you want that replay value.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
And I think that's why you just sort of have to take, like, if somebody has a awesome punchline against you, you just have to take it, because then otherwise it's almost unfair if they don't have anything good against you,
Yeah, sure.
and you're just completely washing them for 3 rounds. It almost feels like bullying. You know what I mean? Yeah, which is fun to watch sometimes if the person who's getting it really deserves it.
Yeah.
But
it's like anything. You want to see a battle, not a
not a bullying, not a complete body bag. Yeah,
someone's not getting destroyed.
That being said, though, there are some body bags that are just fucking absolutely amazing to watch. Like if you watch 360 versus Keynote. Yeah, and like 360 washes him so bad for the first 2 rounds that he doesn't even rhyme for his 3rd round. He just pulls a letter out of his pocket and just reads it to him and shit. Like, oh, you act tough to make up for your insecurities in real life. It's got to stop. It was just classic.
Yeah. That's you got to be creative to come up with something like that too. He would have had that ready, you reckon?
Oh yeah, no, he had the letter in his pocket ready to go.
Yeah.
And he had another battle that night anyway, so I think he wouldn't have been taking that anyway half as seriously as the other one he had to do.
Okay.
Plus Keynote is just complete whack cunt. Like, that before the current format of battling, there was this thing called Jump Off TV, where they were doing like these freestyle battles, and 360 and Anecdote were like the 2-on-2 partners of Australia that went and represented overseas. And there was this fucking Keynote, and I forget who his partner was, but they were just so shit. Like, they didn't win a single battle. They were so terrible. And then Keynote like tries calling 360 out for this pre-written event. 360 just washes him. Like, it was beautiful. It was poetic.
Nice. What else about the scene do you like?
About the battle scene?
Yeah.
Oh man, almost fucking nothing. It's weird, dude. Yeah. Like, I as much as I love it all, and I've made some absolute like lifelong friends out of it. I'm not really much of a scene stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty solitary sort of dude as it is, and I think that kind of gives me a competitive edge, because no one really knows unless I write about it and put it all out on Front Street on Facebook. There's fuck all people know about me.
Yeah, sure.
So they only have to go off my win or loss record, or what I've done on screen, or what I've written about on Facebook. But for the most part, like, I'm only into it for the individual connection. Like, if I meet someone who's dope in the scene, like shout outs to Greeley, Dundee, Tolls, they're probably like the 3 best mates I've made out of this whole scene. And if it wasn't for dudes like them, I wouldn't be halfway where I am with it.
I actually watched some of that Dundee guy's stuff last night as well.
He's a monster, dude.
Yeah.
He's fucking absolute beast with it, man.
He's got that real Australia armour slide through to me, man. I love it. It's sick.
Oh, dude, not to give away too much of his formula, I guess, but like, he's really like, when you meet him in real life, it's such a blowout, because he is a really intellectual dude.
Yeah.
And he'll talk to you just normally and stuff like that. Like, he won't walk up to you and be like, yeah, fucking done, boy, or whatever, you know. Like, he's actually just a normal dude. But
it's like he puts that persona on.
Yeah, like, I guess so, but it's still, there's still authenticity about it. But I guess, like anyone, like he's been able to see more of the world through battle rap. Like, he's battled in Canada, England, South Africa, all that shit. And when he puts that sort of persona on, it really does represent a wider network of people than just himself.
Yeah, okay.
So I think he does it. Like, it's definitely a character for sure. Whereas, like, dudes like me, I don't really do a character. I just kind of get up and rap.
Yeah, I feel like yours is a lot. Your vocabulary, you use a lot of vocabulary and stuff like that.
That's the thing too about Dundee. Like I said, like he'll rap in like that real Ocker style of delivery, but he'll use some of the most fucking mind-bending multi-syllabic rhymes and shit like that. Like I can't really think of any like without butchering them. But yeah, no, like I reckon if there's anybody that, like, if there's like an essential like top 3 Dundee battles, I'd tell people to go watch. I'd say watch him versus Innuendo in England. Maybe even him versus Ramsey in Australia, or him versus Harry Baker. You know, like those are probably like the top 3 I'd tell people to check out as like an introduction to his style.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Aside from the battle rap side, have you done much recording? Like, it just
man.
Stuff. I know you talked about that one song you done with the other guy, but like your own stuff.
Yeah, bro. I've been releasing music now for about a year.
As Boss Baker.
Yeah, but only such a minor percentage of it. Because it goes back into that like self-scrutinization about like I won't release anything that I don't think is great, and battling is kind of like the great equalizer where like you don't have a choice, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause it's going out under somebody else's platform, so you have to show up with the best shit you can. Whereas if I make songs and stuff like that, I can, like, I've got songs that are probably like 5 years old that no one's listened to.
Yeah, okay.
And never will, you know. So all the songs that are out on my SoundCloud at the moment, like they're like the few songs that I see up to scratch that I would let anyone listen to, and they'll be going back down off the internet soon because I'm planning on releasing an LP hopefully in the next few months.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So I'll be taking them down and redoing them at like album versions of them because I don't own the rights for the beats that half of them are on.
Yeah, okay.
But don't get me wrong, I've got a fucking stack of beats that I've purchased over the years that I own the rights to and stuff now. So if anything, it's just like an audible business card to me. I'm just like, hey, check this link out. You know, see if you like the style.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just again, sloth life, man. I'm lazy as fuck, slow as fuck, lazy as. But I feel like it's all working towards something. You know.
Yeah, you say that like you're lazy and stuff, but fuck, man, I don't know many cunts that have done that. Like, travelled around Australia doing these shows, and
yeah, dude,
you're putting time into yourself and your art form, man.
It's really weird though, because like I caught up with a bunch of people at this gig the other day. First gig I'd been to in like months, you know, and I think I've learnt now because I'm like 28 next month, and a lot of people I know that, you know, that were in my class in school and shit like that, they've put like almost as much effort into their lives, like staying in the one spot, working the same job and shit like that. And then they'll hear about what I do with my life, and they're like, "Oh man, that's crazy! I wish I could do that." And I was like, "You can."
Yeah.
It takes the same amount of pitfalls and the same amount of commitments and the same amount of heartbreak almost.
Yeah, you got to be prepared to fail. You got to be prepared to fail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that people like see the majority. I mean, the majority of what people see is good. And you know, a lot of the bad side of it is just behind closed doors. But at the end of the day, it's still there. You know, like I'll see photos of people. They're like, "Oh, I just bought my first house." and people might see it and go, "Oh yeah, wow, homeowner." Where somebody like me will look at it and go, "Oh yeah, 25-year mortgage." Or something like that. And that's no diss, like, or whatever. Like, it's
It's real though.
Yeah, home ownership is a huge thing.
It doesn't mean anything. It's like there's always like opposite reaction. You know what I mean? Like.
Oh, well, that's the thing though. Like, people have got their own journeys in life, and anytime somebody says to me, "I wish I could do that," I almost have to just take it with a grain of salt, because I was like, if you wish you could do it, you'd be doing it.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't wish hard enough.
Yeah, yeah. It's like wishing is one thing and doing is another.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I mean, like, I'm 28, and like, if I'm not traveling, or if I'm not like out recording or something like that, I'm back at my parents' house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
And that's somewhat of a social faux pas. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to pick up chicks when you're 28 and living at your.
Want to come back to my mum's house?
Yeah.
Cook us breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's a plus in my mind. If you want to come back to my mum's house, she won't wake up. She's got a hearing problem.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. But
just claim it.
that's it though. At the end of the day, man. Like, I guess not to delve too much into my personal situation, but I'm like 12 years younger than my next sibling, and they're all like a lot closer to each other in age.
Yeah, okay.
So I've got like 12 to 21 years less than each of my siblings do with my family.
Yep.
And so I kind of feel like I want to use my 20s to get as much of them as possible in my life, so that when I do kind of cross over into the 30s and beyond, I can just finally start doing what everyone else was doing in their 20s. You know?
Okay.
Whereas, like, you know, I'll remember, like, I can just imagine catching up with somebody at the start of their 30s, like, "Oh yeah, what are you up to? Like, what are you doing in your life?" "Oh, 5 years deep into a 25-year mortgage." "Oh yeah, I just got started with mine." And then you just extrapolate that over decades. Like, what's it going to matter if we're like 4 or 5 years different in that?
It doesn't mean fucking anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's on their own journey, got their own agendas, and whatever, man.
I think, like, if like, even like, say, uni, for example, like, if you start doing a uni course at like 18, what's the chances that you're still going to be into that subject at 25 or 30? You know?
No.
Whereas, like, I've seen people start doing uni at like 30 and shit like that, and they feel like embarrassed that they're around a bunch of young people and stuff like that in comparison to them. But like, that 30-year-old's probably got way more of a chance of, one, being actually like interested in the subject matter that they're learning, and probably finding gainful employment in that area.
Yeah.
Because I think, what's the maximum? What age is like maximum wage? Is it 21 or something in Australia?
Or like when you go, like, where you don't have to do minimum wage anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. But like, I used to think I was the most employable cunt in the world when I was 18, and I probably was, but that was only because I was cheaper than my 21-year-old counterpart. And then I found it like fucking next to impossible to find like a stable job. And you know, my experience meant fuck all to a recruiting manager that just knows that they can just hire an 18-year-old and train them up to proficiency.
Yeah, I don't like that though.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Yeah.
That's why I've been doing all the shit that I do to try and fill in the time. Yeah, you know. But it is what it is, man. I could be sour about it, or I could just do something.
Yeah, well, because you see like, it's the same in any business. Like, people, we see it like on the Boilermaker, and businesses are always hiring like young guys to do the work, but this the work they put out is never as good as like if you got an older guy come in. You know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I crunched the numbers a while ago. Like, say, even just like for whatever I do, like the majority of my work experience is in sales. So I think an 18-year-old versus me, I'm pretty sure the annual dollar value difference is around 12 grand a year. So it's like 12 grand a year to hire an 18-year-old. But then the amount of sales I could probably get in comparison with my experience I would have to at least make 12 grand a year more for the business just to justify me being there.
Yeah. Okay.
To start off with, and then I'd have to make more on top of that to make it like somewhat worth it. But even then, I think when I worked at Optus when I was 18, I fucking almost lost my job during the training phase because I got a mystery shop assessment that was like so bad.
Ooh.
It was like it was like 15% or something like that, which is like horrible. And then
What'd you do? Scream at them or something?
I don't know, man. Like, I remember actually like reading it, and everyone who worked there thought, "No, this is bullshit. This can't be right," sort of thing. So they sat me down and they took me through the training thing again. And then after a while, I got nothing but 100% mystery shop assessments to the point where I started training new staff how to do sales, and I got like key holder responsibilities and shit like that. And then so I went from almost losing my job to like going down and working on Queen Street in Brisbane in the most busiest store in the state, and then driving the Optus Hummer to Sydney and like down to the Optus headquarters and shit like that. So I got to see a lot of dope shit, and then I've worked for like Defence Health and Foxtel and all that other type of stuff since. But there's always like this looming thing inside where I was like, is this really what I want to be doing?
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like, even though I've done dope shit and it was good money, but fuck, man, I'd almost rather be broke and just doing what I want to do instead.
Yeah, I think it's like an artist's perspective on things too, because like my dad is does like woodwork, wood carving and stone carving and stuff like that.
Fuck yeah.
And like he's super arty, and he does not give a fuck about money really. You know what I mean?
Dude. If anything, man, like,
and like I like that. Like I feel like it rubs off on me too sometimes.
That's mad.
Sure.
No, but fuck yeah, man, that's awesome. I'd like to see some of his work as well. Like, because money at the end of the day is just like it's just a tool to get you what you want. But if you're an artist, then you've pretty much already got what you want in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, depending on what your medium of art is, like if it's stone carving or even just writing lyrics, if you've got a pen and a pad, like, you know, piece of paper,
you create.
You've got what you want.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then you can use that art, and that's the other thing about art too. Like like you see paintings and shit like that with like $1 million price tags on it and stuff like that. Like, it did not cost $1 million to make.
No.
So they're not selling it based off the raw materials and stuff like that. So the subjectivity of the price of what art is worth is almost like the big payoff.
Yeah.
If you're able to sell something for millions of dollars, that's awesome. But I think even Michelangelo had an agent. You know what I mean? Like, he had somebody that sold his shit on behalf of him. So I think in the art world, there's only a few people that get that lucky to have their stuff remembered and sold for those price tags. But they wouldn't give a shit otherwise, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah. The metal side of things, you never gone back to doing that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I still listen to lots of metal, and I still like. I mean, I had a 7-string guitar that I lent to a mate, and I haven't like heard from him ever since.
Yeah.
So I want to actually build my next guitar.
Yeah, nice.
Because again, I have no idea when I'm going to get that guitar back, so I want to just make one.
Yeah.
You can just
build body and
well, you can just buy kits and just put them together.
Yeah.
And plus, it wasn't until I checked out this podcast with the singer and main guitarist from CKY that I learned a lot about like the strings and equipment that they used in a lot of their recordings. So I want to take a lot of that in mind and then start writing with a different how do I describe it? Just different songwriting perspective by using different equipment and using different tones, and I want to kind of be a bit more experimental with it. In this day and age. When I say this day and age, it's not as if I'm trying to like reach for a new sound, but like try and go back to sounds that influence me and just write a chord, like try and write with that sound in mind and be less what's the word, in my own head about like, does this sound cool? Does this sound like just seeing kids like this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like you can like it's all in the same like chord progressions and stuff like that. Like, you know, certain bands writing that same all the time. Yeah.
I think the CKY I'm pretty sure he doesn't even use the top 2 strings.
Yeah, right.
So he doesn't even put them on his guitar.
Saving money.
Well, it's saving money, and I think you're not going to be hitting dead notes on strings that you're not even using and shit like that. And I've found out that they use like wound G strings instead of just the regular G strings or whatever, and it helps that those particular notes achieve a tone that you wouldn't be able to get on regular strings.
Yeah, right.
And it wouldn't have even been like I wouldn't have even known that unless I watched that podcast. You know what I mean?
The technical side of guitar is crazy. Like you could just go for hours and hours, like watching videos and never learn anything, or like never understand any of it.
Well, it's much like
because I've tried play like I've got a guitars and I can play a couple of riffs and that kind of thing, but
well, I think like it's kind of like say if you want to be a pilot or something like that, you've got to get the amount of hours under your belt before they can like deem you competent. It's just pretty much the same with guitar, and if you really enjoy doing it, you won't notice those hours fly past at all.
Yeah,
like you could spend all night playing riffs and shit like that, and before you know it, you're like, oh, you do that for like a whole summer or something. You're like, oh shit, I've got like an extra 200 hours under my belt. Sweet,
Yeah.
And you'll be like 1,000 times more proficient than you were 200 hours ago. So really, I think that's just the thing about any form of passion. If you can start doing something and then you notice like a whole evening go by, and you can notice a whole week's or month's worth of those evenings go by while you're just learning something or playing something, then I think that is a sign that you've got a passion for it.
Yeah, I feel that way. Like I'm racing dirt bikes. Like I feel like it's just taken over my life to the point where it's like, I feel like I don't know where the last 8-10 years has gone.
Well, there's a commitment aspect of it too. I mean, like from the outside looking in, I've seen that the really like the number of injuries you've taken in, and the type of injuries as well. And just asking you about them, and you're like, yes, I don't give a fuck. I still want to do it. And I'm like, dude, that's commitment, bro. Like, I remember breaking my arm once on a skateboard when I was a kid, but I was still like, as soon as I could use my fingers again, I'd be like, I'm just
got the cast as a slide.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I would just be trying to hit notes and shit like that with a cast on my arm, and that's passion at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's commitment.
For sure, yeah.
And with your motocross, when did you start?
I always rode when I was younger, but I never really started racing until 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. And so, like, are you sponsored at the moment, or do you?
So I get a bit of help from like Tumba Yamaha, that kind of thing. So that's been really good. But
man,
yeah, it's definitely like takes every little bit you got. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like, if there's any like when it comes to like equipment or like clothing or anything like that, like holler at me if there's anything I can put the Sloth Life brand on, and I'll hook you up, bro.
Yeah, man, we have to get some stickers on a bike or something.
Dude, fuck yeah, man. I'll get some stickers on the bike, or even because I know that they do like sublimation dye and stuff like that for like your like all different types of sports, like for your jerseys or whatever you wear on the track. We'll have to talk about that for sure.
Yeah, that sounds cool, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I've been wanting to like sponsor skaters and stuff like that from other different types of extreme sports and shit. And it'd be sick to have like some motocross gear out in the streets.
Yeah. Well, with your battle rap thing and sponsorship and getting paid, like, is it good money or like?
Oh man,
if someone at home's like, oh, I wonder if I feel like I can go there, and then. What is at the end, you know?
You got to be ready to do it for free, and you got to be ready to almost like to pay, if that makes sense. Like when I first got into it, I was paying my way to get around the country and stuff like that, even though I was getting booked like in Adelaide, and I think the only places I haven't battled is like Canberra and like Perth and maybe Darwin.
Yep.
But fuck them places. But like, I've done enough traveling on my own dime to know how to do it on the cheap or even on the free, so that like if I do get booked for places again, I can just ask and just say like, yeah, this is the whole dollar figure I want, and that includes everything like my travel, my accommodation, and generally I'll walk away on top with something on that. But at the end of the day, I just do it for the love.
Yeah, I think that's why people should do everything in life.
I mean, if you want to make money out of it, you got to have something that people want to invest their dollar in, which is why I usually take like a box of merch or something. It's so funny. I remember at the last event I battled at, I asked them in advance. I was like, "Can I bring some merch to the event?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, no, that should be alright." But then by the time I get there, I realised that the person who sponsored the event, like, he's paid a pretty penny to have like exclusive rights to sell merch there.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, that's alright, man, no dramas," because I was already getting paid anyway to be there. And so they said you couldn't sell merch in the venue, but they didn't say anything about like
out in your car,
like outside or on the stairs. So I remember like carrying my box up the steps at the end of the event, and everyone's just like off their guts, like, "Oh, what do you got in the box, bro?" And I'm just like, just some shirts, man. "Oh, how much you selling them for, bros?" You know. I remember like making like a couple $100 just walking up the steps.
Nice.
At the end of the event.
That's a hustle.
Yeah, man. I think I've always wanted to, as dope as it was stocking out a retail store. I wouldn't have even stocked that retail store if I didn't pitch them the way I would pitch anybody. I remember having like a backpack full of samples, and I was already buying something from that shop anyway, and I just asked them, I was like, "Oh, hey man, like, I've got some merch in my bag. I'm starting up a little clothing brand. You mind having a look at it just to see if you like the designs, or if you reckon I got rocks in my head, you know what I mean?" And I guess, you know, they were already in the middle of ringing up a sale anyway, so he's like, "Yeah, alright," pulls it out, and then he has a look at it. And like, you know, when people are sort of being sort of disingenuous, like they'll just kind of half glance at it and be like, "Oh yeah, that's dope, bro, yeah, whatever," you know, sort of thing, right? But this dude, Frank, he just picks it up and he's just like staring at it for ages. And in my mind, there's like faults galore in the product because they're just samples. Yeah. You know, like they've still got the manufacturer's tags on them, they're all wrinkled and shit like that. But he's just looking at it, I'm staring at him, and I'm just like, "You all good, bro?" He just looks up at me and he's sort of like, what do you say? He's just sort of like, "Have you got a release date for this?" And I was like, yeah. He's like, "Oh, sweet, well, hit me up with an order form because I got crew that want to buy this type of stuff."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I was sort of like, "Fuck yeah, man, for sure." But I was so wet behind the ears that I had to actually get him to show me how to put together an Excel spreadsheet for an order form. But that was it, and that was I think about a week later, he messaged me after I stocked him up, being like, "Yeah, we're pretty much sold out of most of the shit you sold."
That's awesome.
Yeah, bro. So
did they tell you like a demographic it was going to?
Well, the store that I'm talking about is Union Heights on Chapel Street, and they sell primarily like spray paint and stuff like that for graffiti artists, hip hop records, and apparel. So I guess it's almost like a one-stop hip hop shop. Yep. You know what I mean? But that's not to say that they're strictly for that demographic as well. It's like if you fuck with that style of art, then they've got something for you there. Yeah. You know, like they've got the art, like the art. What am I trying to say? Like the equipment, I guess, like markers, cans, different like spray nibs and shit like that. Records, apparel, or even just accessories. Like I was just buying cushions there, like really expensive cushions. Yeah, but they were dope, man. So yeah, shout outs to Union Heights.
Yeah, if you're around, go check those guys out, man. Get yourself some sloth gear.
Yeah, dude. Support and just go support Frank, man. He's a dope cunt, man. He used to work for Obese Records, I'm pretty sure, when they had a retail store, and he's just started his own venture. I think he's been doing it for a couple of years now. But like, he's a massive supporter of the scene, so like, yeah, definitely support Frank.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like the scene you're in is kind of like a bit like the motocross scene that I'm in. It's like very grassroots, you know, driven. Yeah.
Oh man, it's crazy how so many different movements and scenes have been able to make something from nothing. At the end of the day, like hip hop was all started from, you know, records and turntables in people's lounge rooms and stuff like that because they have no instruments to make shit out of. Yeah. And then, you know, graffiti, you know, just like cans of paint
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and they've been able to make like a worldwide movement out of it.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere in the world without seeing it. Maybe they have like the whole festival here for it now in Toowoomba. Like,
Yeah, dude. I think it's dope. I think it's dope that they do that as well. Like that they work on. Because at the end of the day, it's like a big facelift for the city.
yeah,
Like, what would it be otherwise? Just a boring brick wall.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
My friend owns a shop across the road from the spray paint place here, and what are they called?
Contraband. Isn't
Contraband, yeah, across the road from Contraband.
Yeah.
And I always ask him like, "Oh, does your sign at the end of the street ever get like tagged and stuff?" That's right next to the skate park. And he's like, "No, because the guys at Contraband, they're promoting like they do it properly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that area never gets like tagged."
Even Frank, like his store has like a sticker slap board and stuff like that as well. So like if you've got stickers you want to slap, do it.
Yeah.
Go slap a sticker up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then as soon as that's completely covered, they'll take a flick of it and then boom, start again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I think I've definitely thrown a few sloppies up there.
Yeah, nice. We'll have to get one of those slot stickers on the back of the van.
Fuck yeah, man. If I haven't got any with me, I can drop some around later.
Yeah, man, we'll get one up some stage for sure.
Yeah, sick, man. Fuck yeah.
Oh, what do you reckon? We'll leave it there.
Yeah, man. Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, man. And get on. You're on Instagram, eh?
Yeah, just slothlife.co on Instagram or just slothlife.com.au. But keep an eye out because we will be doing a lot more as far as getting the brand out there that doesn't necessarily have to equate to people buying merchandise off me.
Yeah.
Because Sloth Life to me, it's a lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's not a clothing brand. We do obviously sell clothing and memorabilia if you want to invest. But aside from that, like I want to get the show pumping. I want to get so many other things on the go that I should probably wait until they're further developed before I kind of spill the beans on them.
Yeah, well, maybe when that time comes, then we'll get you back on.
Yeah, fucking oath, man. I'd love to come back.
Right, dude. Thanks.
Legend.
That was awesome, dude.
Fuck yeah, man.